right? If we take out our little measuring tool, right, this entire stretch has just been 32 days for, I want to go up. 70% move. Well, I suppose we do need to do this as well. Yeah, it took 3 times as long for 3 times the move. And 40 days for over 2.5 times the move. Okay, so let's say, actually, let's not say. I don't like extrapolating past moves as current data points because it's unreliable and pretty much all your evidence is pointing at the fact, oh, this has happened before, therefore it will happen again. And that is not good analysis, right? Because what we did is we said, we looked at, right, the height from the 3D wave PM reading to the next new impulse, right? We said that was 600 days. So what do? We look over here at the end of this compression, we drag right, and we look for 600 days. So our initial thought was we would have a similar move to this, where after our initial compression here, right here, we would see a nice little uptick before recompression for the actual next bull run. And so our assumption was we had a weekly expansion here, right? We would see this move, right? We bet on this move. And the idea was to follow that same time frame, right? From here to our uptick, it was 315 days. From here to our uptick, about 315 days. 200-ish. So we said we would see a similar retracement level, which we defined around here, before we would see continued compression and then the next bull run after 500 days. We didn't get that. Instead, we broke past that level. And I want to do one important thing for perspective here. We have not even started to make an expansion on the weekly chart, right? It might take a few more weeks of upward move to really get a good pivot here on the higher time frames. On the daily chart, we do have a pivot quite cleanly, though. One warning sign I am willing to point out is we are trending beyond the 3.2 standard deviation. Right? Last time we saw it happen here. That's good. Generally, what I'm going to recommend. Actually, let's define this one manually. Right? It's at 61 on the daily. Because this newest move is expanding into volatility overhead. Right? We have this previous upward move. And you'll notice the volatility overhead here, which this red will have trouble expanding above, or at least will require greater effort to expand above. I'm not seeing any kind of pivot on that higher time frame that we can truly define trend with, other than just saying it goes back down to 50,000, which that's not going to be a profitable pivot for you, right? If we need to wait for 30% drawdown before we can define this as trending still. So we go to a lower time frame. Let's do the 12-hour chart. All right, so now we have this clean expansion at 180. All right, do you remember what it was on the daily? About the 80. 12-hour is roughly double that. All right, there is a slight deviance because the volatility here, based on the prior move, 100 candles back versus the 12 hours, those 100 candles, we actually get true compression. So if you have true compression before your newest expansion, your reading is going to be much clearer, and you want to adjust your time frame to account for those 100 candles of look back in order to get the cleanest reading. That is an important tip. Always define your time frame to properly reflect the correct period for indicator accuracy. So here, we will need to manually define the 180 period. Cool. So this is a bit better. It's about 60,000. Still too far to define a clean pivot because this is a parabola. All right, on our lower time frames, we still have trouble finding something cleanly. Oh, actually, I'm surprised 4-hour is actually decent to draw off of. We're still getting this volatility overhead problem. We have our initial expansion. And if we saw compression for another week or two, right, our volatility overhead would have tapered off. The mean reversing condition would have ended when that lines up. But we had the expansion a bit early, which means that this red plume expands into the volatility overhead, which creates resistance. You get these large downward forces pushing against the price because it takes more force to move heavier mass. So what are we looking for? I'm DCA'd in since, what, November last year? I'll be honest, since I am so far deep into profit, I will just be holding until we actually do hit that mean reversion condition. You know, is 15% down, but I'm okay with that. Because I'm also in altcoins, which are maintaining their USD value. This matches my risk profile. I like it. Okay, let's take a look at your questions. INJ, please. Small impulse to the upside, a bit noisy on the 3D wave PM. Daily chart, technically it's mean reverting at this moment, right? Ignore the yellow line, right? That means that this is false because it's maxed out. What we do care about is this clean overhead here. You'll notice it does hold, and now we're breaking it. This is the retest high. You can probably short it here on CCI roll down. So in this case, it would be the daily 330 period CCI. As soon as that rolls down, you can take a short to the mean at 3,000. Holy shit. Sorry, 3,700. Is that like a 50% trade? Almost. Quite interesting. Next up, let's look at next USDT. Maintaining USD value. Who could have predicted? Yeah, altcoins are gonna do this during Bitcoin's dominance. However, if we look at next BTC, oh, this is USD only pair because it's a small cap. I got you. If there's not a Bitcoin chart and it's just hovering at the same price during Bitcoin upward move, that doesn't bode well. At least it doesn't bode profitably. What are your alt stats, Shark? I'm holding some link. We seem to have defined a nice range of price. And around here, basically just hoping for a bounce off the mean inversion target back up to maybe like 3,700 or at least local high. However, this is still trending upwards, which is good when Bitcoin is trending upwards. Obviously, this is not as strong as Bitcoin itself, but it's offering me a bit more stability. Take a look at Litecoin. Oh, I do not like Litecoin, guys. I do not like Litecoin at all. Do you guys remember around here when the leader of Litecoin said Litecoin is priced too high, and then it has only gone down since then by almost 95%? I don't like that. I'm a little bit biased, but I'm also right. So, cool your jets of Litecoin, please. RNDR. Huh. This is looking strong. Composition comments. So holding until mean inversion pivot gets hit, indicating change in trend. That is correct. Because there just aren't any good pivots to properly define trend on Bitcoin at the moment. right? Such is the case with parabolas, but like let's take a look at Bitcoin for a second. Waiting for that mean reversion pivot is actually pretty successful. Sure, you might lose out on 15, 20% profit, but it's clean and it's consistent. So here I'll have to go to the 2-day chart to properly capture this. We are defining this as the 300 period. So what will we do? Define as 300. That's not bad, right? If you get the initial wave PM cross here, right, what do we see? Initial wave PM cross, which is the exact same thing that tipped us off to this current move. So you see the identical readings, right? Everything's below, 14 rises up. Everything's below, 14 rises up. And there's also one here, actually. But this one is bearishly oriented. Why? Because the CCI in this location was negatively weighted. So what happens? Positively weighted, wave PM cross, price goes up. Negatively weighted, price goes down. Positively weighted, price goes up. It's consistent. So if we just enter on that and exit on mean reversion activation, we capture a 260% move. Let's take a look at this one. Actually, this one doesn't have mean reversion condition. Why? Because this is converse expansion, which does not generate its own accurate 3D wave PM signal, right? Because if you first expand up, you're defining the upward volatility as the status quo. Therefore, a downward move is identical volatility, and you don't get a 3D wave PM reading. So here, enter on. Pivot is 260. Here on the daily chart, it's really low, but it's rising every day. Ooh, wrong way. ATH, excuse me. So at the current price, if Bitcoin were immediately drop below 49,000, yes, trend would be over. However, we're not expecting that to happen. What we're expecting is this trend line to continue to go up. Price might continue to go up. It might fizzle out, and it might meet with the mean reversion condition. So as a price target or as an exit condition, this is very poor at the current time, but every day the exit condition climbs a little higher, right? Step, 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 step. Let me do it like this. It's here. As it follows the line, take profit condition rises, and it'll keep rising so long as price is above the trend line. It's clean and it's simple and it's effective. Sure, you miss out on 50% profit, but nobody gets rich by trying to sell the high. Or at least betting that they know what the high is. Excuse me. INJ, please. We just did this. Sorry. Dialem, why are you so interested in USDT pairs, my man? Is it because that these coins only have USD pairs? Yes, that is the case. AIOZUSDT. Okay, look. I don't like these USDT only charts. It's very volatile. It's low cap. It's not clean. Have you heard of throat coat tea? Yes, my voice is very raspy. Um, I was actually sick last week. I had an infection. I'm on antibiotics, so I'm on the upswing. Um, I actually have a little spray bottle of essentially throat coat tea. It's gag inducing. It's incredibly potent, but it works. I'll have to go find it. Doge, why not? Doge is going up. Yes. How lovely. So with Doge, essentially, I don't see the fervor. This is too orderly. Classic shark fins for Doge. Yeah, okay, I like that analogy because this is not a shark fin. This is a nice little boop. If price does that, all of a sudden, sure, go for it. But how are you going to find an entry in that scenario? Um, Doge is just hard to play. Like, you can generally do fine if you buy these areas, right? What is this? No volatility overhead. When you see that, you should definitely buy, right? We have another no volatility overhead here or here and here. Let's keep going back. Why not? No volatility overhead here. Yeah, basically, let's zoom in on that one because, yeah, you do get a spike. See? Just wait for no volatility overhead, and then you have yourself a play on Doge. Essentially, when Doge is doing nothing, that means it can do something. Versus if it's doing something, Doge isn't going to do anything because that's the only thing it can do. KS, BTC, my pleasure. BTC. Yeah, I'm going to say this. I'm going to draw a parallel for you. See this upward move? And then it goes sideways for a bit, and then it drops. You see this upward move? You see how it goes sideways for a bit, and then it drops. After this, you get the period of exhaustion, where you get this nice green little stretch, and it needs to rise all the way up to the top before something can happen. Right? This is potential energy. So when you get the initial downward move, nothing is what needs to happen before anything positive can happen. Right? Nothing needs to happen before you can have another upward move. However, if you do immediately spike up here, boop, guess what's going to happen? See all this red? Price is going to come up from below. It's going to bump into that, and it'll usually fail unless there's a really good reason for it to keep pushing upwards, and that's very rare. Sidus BTC. No. No. Take a look at BCH. Okay, we looked. I don't like it. Why? Active mean inversion. That's it. Okay, folks, that was a fun stream. I hope it was informative. I will see you all next week. You have a good one. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.